Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. It's Monday. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me in the studio. Delighted that you could join us as well. And a big thank you to Cameron Commercial Vehicles, our main sponsor till the end of the season. If you're looking for a van, new or indeed quality used van, then Sean's your man. Get onto it if you can. We will give you all the details of that, including, of course, our charity partner, which is Maggie's Cancer Care, www.maggies.org. And you'll get all the support you need. All the information is there if you know anyone who is affected by cancer, friends or family. It's been an interesting weekend of football. We will discuss all of that. But of course, the main headlines, Hearts trying to keep a lid on that title talk as it's gathering pace. Are Rangers now battling for second? Give us your thoughts on that. Celtic win a game to ease the pressure on Nancy. And 2 from 3 at the bottom, Livy, Killie or Dundee. Take your pick as they're all battling to avoid that relegation spot and the playoff spot too. So the quiz, we're going to start off with a quiz question which I think will test quite a few of you, because let's not forget Motherwell are also in the mix in that battle over the top 4, who's going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. The quiz question sponsored by Elite, which is providing expert advice on fire door inspection, installation, maintenance and fire prevention. When was the last time Motherwell finished third in the league? Was it 1992, 1998, 2020 or 2022? Good question, Ruffy. That'll test your mind, eh?
It certainly will if you're not a Motherwell supporter, but I'm sure the Motherwell supporters will know exactly when that was, because they always remember the cup win.
Yeah, of course. Do you remember what this the answer to this is?
No, I'd be guessing, I think.
Okay. Tam, would you be on it?
Yeah, I think I know it.
Okay, we'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. But when was the last time Motherwell finished third in the Premier League? And thanks to Elite, who are our main quiz sponsors, providing that expert advice on fire door inspection, installation, maintenance and fire prevention. Good news also, thank you to so many of you for downloading the podcast as well. Lots of great feedback. And over the course of the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we had some really interesting games. Of course, all eyes on the Sunday games because Hearts were taking on Rangers and Celtic were at home to Aberdeen. Lots of pressure for very different reasons. Roughly, Tynecastle, it was absolutely bouncing. It was one of those games you couldn't take your eye off it. In the end, Hearts 2, Rangers 1.
Yeah, I thought Rangers started particularly well. First 10, 15 minutes, a lot of good football. Not a lot of chances, right enough, but I think in this game, is that the longer it went, the first goal was going to be important. And obviously Hearts got that first goal, it lifted them, and Rangers went a wee bit of a wobble after that. And then obviously Hearts got the next one that made it even more difficult for Rangers.
Yeah, I actually think all of us predicted every game correct, Tam. We would have been a few quid. We hit every one of them.
I think even the correct score, I think most of us said 2-1 to Hearts as well. So, yeah, I agree with Ruff. I thought Rangers started the brighter in terms of keeping the ball possession. Big moment in the game is obviously the goal that's offside. I think that's incredibly tight. I don't think there's clear. It's a clear offside, Peter. So for me, I thought he was onside. When I seen his foot coming out, I thought Rangers are a wee bit hard done by there. Obviously, the SFA, the VAR studio have got more angles than that, you would think, because if that was their only angle, then I don't think you can tell that he was offside. So that was a big moment in the game. If that goes in, it could be a different game. But I thought Hearts grew into the game half an hour, 40 minutes, and then they took over the game. They could have won the game comfortably. They could have won by 3 or 4. Rangers, second half put a lot of bodies forward to try and get the next goal, and they were caught in the counter-attack a few times, but don't think there's any doubt that Hearts deserved to win. And I'm starting to get very nervous now, I must admit. I thought after 6-7 games Hearts wouldn't maintain this, but there's no sign of them stopping or bottling it or bubble bursting.
Yeah, Ruffy, as Tam mentioned there, I still, continually mention the fact that we should be embracing Arsene Wenger's attitude to it, which is clear daylight between defender and player. If you're going to call offsides, that one, as Tam mentioned there, was extremely tight. They did go to VAR. Everybody was waiting, usual, beyond the 1 minute to get a decision on it. And in the end, it was called offside. A huge sigh of relief inside the stadium. But then from there, The reason why Rangers lost, Ruffy, is quite simply, I just don't think they've got players that are creative enough. Raskin battled away. The rest of them, I just didn't see any flair whatsoever. There was just this kind of apart from this group of ultras who just bang the drum constantly, up at the top tier of Rangers fans were just looking down. There's almost an air of resignation about it all.
Yeah, I've said it all along. If the Rangers go behind, they seem to toil. Certain players seem to toil. They don't show the ability that they've got. You know, we were talking about the wee boy Moore the other night. I know he's only 18, you know, but he seems to be a young guy on the up, you know, but having the experience of this, you know, if they go behind, he's got to dig in and, you know, these kind of players are affected by it. But no, that like Tam, I thought Hearts at the end of the day had, I mean, particularly Shankland had 2 or 3 chances, you know, to really finish it off. And I know you're going to come to the goal, the Butland goal.
Yeah.
He will be disappointed, there's no doubt about that. You never.
Both of them.
No, not the first one.
Oh, wait a
no.
minute, he's kick out.
Oh, the kick up, yeah. But if you want a goalkeeper to build up for the back, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be precise in any of the kicks that he's got to find somebody. But at least he's made the effort to try and find somebody. But certainly the second one, he will be disappointed. But I could see why he lost it. It was so near to his foot that there's no way you can get down that quick. He's like that one against was it McCracken last week, when you're hoping the ball's going to hit your foot and deflect or something like that. But no, he will be. You could see he was disappointed he lost it.
I thought it was a fantastic finish, Peter.
Did you?
I thought it was a fantastic finish. He put it in the only place that he could score. It was that little gap between his foot and the near post. It was precise. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing. And yeah, the goalkeeper will get stick for it. You shouldn't get beat in near post. But I thought it was a fantastic, you know, bit of improvisation from Lawrence Shankland to put it in that near post and in a crucial time in the game. So
such an acute angle.
Such an acute angle. You know, he's trying to just do the keeper at his near post. He catches it perfect. And yeah, you're going to blame the goalkeeper, but it's very difficult to get down.
You can't get down that.
You know, there's
quick at your foot.
A ball's width to put it in, and he put it right in that gap. So I thought it was a great finish.
The other aspect of it is, you're right, Robbie. He could have scored a hat trick, and this is why I obviously think that if Hearts are going to win the league, they're going to have to go and buy another striker. Not because Shankland is not up to the mark. I mean, he's just absolutely grafting. The boy is running his socks off as well, and that's one of the key elements of why I thought Hearts were going to win this game, is because their commitment, their graft for everything. I mean, they absolutely put in a shift. I mean, Devlin was fantastic. Finlay was man of the match for me, but every one of them worked. And do you know what was the measure of them, Tam? They hunted in packs. So if Rangers had the ball, there was 2 or 3 round the guy to try and get that ball back off him. Every one of them was busting a gut at every moment in the game. And I thought that was the real difference. You could sense they were well up for it. You know those games when you know a team is up for it in every area?
Yeah, listen, it was an enormous game for both clubs. But yeah, you're right. I think just Hearts are so well organised. They're so strong defensively. They'll be disappointed with the goal they lost at the end, a bit of lack of communication with the goalkeeper and the defender, and Shermiti, you know, gets a finish, but it's obviously too late to do anything. But yeah, they were solid the whole game. They've got Cameron Devlin's probably been the player of the year so far. You know, I never thought he was this good until this season. I thought that he was one of those where he would just rat about, get into people's faces. I didn't think he had that much quality, but I don't know if it's Derek's asking him to play in a different role, where he's more confident in going and getting the ball off the back 2 or the back 3 and starting attacks. He's been superb this season. And, you know, Hearts have got Magnussen in there as well, again, in there, ratting about. And I just thought they were a real good team performance from Hearts. And as I said, I think their lad, you know, if you're looking at the title race at the minute, I think Celtic need 2 or 3, maybe a couple of strikers and a dominant centre-half. I think Hearts need a striker, maybe a right-back, maybe a central midfield player. Rangers, if you're looking, what did Rangers need in January? 8, 9? Full-back 4, a creative midfielder, a striker, a winger. You know, it's...
There's nobody with a trick, Tam.
No, they're very predictable, Rangers. They've got 3 guys in the middle of the park, Diamandi, Raskin and Barron, who all want to break up the play, and that's the best part of their game. Peter, they've not got any creativity to go and thread someone through. So
yeah, they don't hurt people.
Yeah.
I mean, Diamandi gets subbed. I mean, he was totally and utterly, for me, just nondescript in the middle of the park. Gassama, I mean, what, you know,
yeah, he's fell off a cliff.
one game every 4.
Yeah, he's fell off a cliff. Peter, I think Mikey Moore was probably the most dangerous player for Rangers. Chermiti came on and done okay, put yourself about, but you're looking at that Rangers team and you're thinking, who's actually a banker to sign that team at the minute in January? Who would you hang your hat on and say, you can't get rid of him? I don't think there's any.
No.
To be honest with you, right now for Rangers. So
I would keep Barron and Raskin in there.
Yeah, Barron and I thought Raskin was poor at the weekend, but Barron, yeah, he gets about and does well, but Rangers have got very, very little quality midfield to front.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps the biggest indictment of where Rangers are, Ruffy, is afterwards when I went into the press conference, Derek McManus says, I expected to win. Here at Tynecastle, it's a fortress for them. And there's a confidence about Derek McInnes in the players that he has available as well. He's trying to keep a lid with every player. You could tell when Stuart Finlay came into the press conference, it was all, it's one game at a time, we know where we are, we're doing well. And Derek was quick to point out, Ruffy, something that I think maybe has irked him a little, which is basically, we've all been saying, the standard of the league is poor. That's not Hearts' fault. Hearts are there, and his point was, we're there on merit. We're exactly where we should be.
Yeah, you're right. Right from the very start, they put their intentions out there to everybody. This was the way they were going to play, and they've got the wins, they've got the points, and we all know anyway, going to Tynecastle's a fortress. It's a tremendous atmosphere. It's a cauldron when you go there, particularly if they're winning and their fans are up for it. The stadium's absolutely bouncing, and it is a wee bit, when you're playing in that game and they're up for it and they're winning, it puts you on a wee bit of a back foot because obviously everything's going right for them. So no, they're ticking all the boxes just now. I think we're all just waiting to see, is there a challenge coming?
Yeah, and over and above that, he did say something that I think every Hearts fan wants to hear, Tam, which is quite simply, yeah, we're good. We're there on merit, but we need to improve. We need to get players in as well to help this squad. And that is exactly what the Hearts fans want to hear.
Yeah, listen, I think that Derek and Tony Bloom and the Jamestown Analytics people will be scouring everywhere, in Europe to see who they can bring in, who they can strengthen the squad. I think they'll bring in, don't think they need to bring in loads. I think they just need to bring in maybe 2 or 3 guys that can get in and start and be cover. But in terms of Rangers and Hearts at the minute, the fear factor's totally gone for the Old Firm this season. I mean, if I was a player, if I'm a Hearts player now, and that Rangers team sheet comes in at the weekend, I'm thinking, we're disappointed if we don't beat them. Whereas even 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago, the Celtic and Rangers team came in, you went, Michael Malls, Avaladze, Larsson, Baravchik. We get out here 2 or 3 a day, we're going to be doing well.
Yeah.
That fear factor is totally gone. I think Hearts are the best team in the league right now. Obviously, they're top of the league. I think they're the best team in the league. And if they strengthen and have the same second part to the season as they've done the first part, then they're going to win the league, Peter. But you would expect Celtic, you would expect Rangers to go and spend big, because I think they will have to improve their starting lineup to go and catch Hearts.
Well, we did see it at the tail end of last week, Ruffy, and I think it rings true again when we get to talk about Celtic against Aberdeen. But there isn't a fear factor. Every player that they sign in this January transfer window, I think, has to be a starting player and has to hit the ground running. That's the big problem about it. And over and above that, I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, Danny Roll was talking about, we missed a big opportunity. This one is hard to take. I think that result at the weekend puts Rangers out of any title talk now.
It's a lot of points, 12 points, isn't it? It's a big ask for anybody. You can't see Rangers going on a terrific run that they would have to do to close that gap. You're looking at Hearts, and I think they've had their wee wobble, that they weren't getting beat. They were maybe dropping a couple of points here and there. But certainly I think they've had theirs. I think Celtic look the obvious challenger now. Although I think other teams in the league, the likes of Motherwell, the likes of Aberdeen, up at Aberdeen, will test them. But I still think at this moment in time, when you're sitting up there with the amount of points you've got, you feel as if you can beat everybody. So it's up to everybody else to challenge them.
We did mention that 4 points out of 6 would be good for Hearts over the 2 games. So their next match is Hibs away, then they've got Livingston at home, and then they're away to Dundee. So I'm looking there and I'm saying to myself, 7 out of 9 will probably be the minimum they're thinking. Although the way Hearts are thinking at the moment, they'll probably be thinking there's a good 9 points on offer there.
Yeah, listen, obviously Hibs away is going to be a tough tie. Hibs have not been great this season, but it's a derby game and anything can happen. But you would expect Hearts to look after Livingston at home and then Dundee away. I'm looking at the Hearts and I'm looking at the Rangers fixtures. I think they've got Motherwell, St Mirren, Celtic away, then Aberdeen home and away. that's a really tough run of fixtures for Rangers, you know, in the next 5. So they could be miles off the pace come into January, first couple of weeks in January, and then it doesn't matter what they do in the transfer window. If you're 15, 16, 18 points behind, you're looking ahead to next season. So yeah, I think that the next few games, you know, Celtic have got a decent run of games. They can go and try and catch Hearts, but I just don't see anything for this Rangers team that's going to tell me that they're going to go and challenge for the league this season. I don't think they will. I think they're looking at maybe being second or third at best.
I think the Rangers battle is for second. I think they're out of it.
Yep.
Ruffy?
Yeah, on the evidence of yesterday, yeah, when you're looking at a team like Hearts who have been superior most of the year, you know, they will say, yeah, we were on a wee run there. I think it was 5 or 6 games where they're beating the other sides, you know, quite easily. You have to continue that kind of run. You'll hope they can get back on another run, but as Tam says, these games that they're coming up are going to be really important. You know, you can't see them going on a winning run in the 5 games, so it'll be interesting to see. We're all waiting. I think every supporter will be waiting to see in January what kind of influence the new players that are coming in are going to do to these teams.
Yeah, thanks to Stephen who says nobody gets the league at Christmas. Stephen, you're absolutely right. It's certainly something that I think everybody's got to bear in mind. But when you look at the way Hearts are playing, I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with them yesterday. You know, I'm in that stadium watching them, watching their movement, watching their commitment, watching their graft, watching the belief rippling through the whole side, and then listening to the players afterwards as well. There is a real feeling among them that they've got what it takes. I think they're just trying. They're probably not, you know, openly talking about league titles, but they're probably looking and saying, look, we can go into a game and beat a team.
But they're up there to be hit. No, they're up there, you know, whereas it would be Rangers and Celtic are up there and every other teams want to hit them, you know, in the dressing rooms.
You think their mentality is the question?
No, I don't think mentality is. It's just that they've never been there before. You know, the pressure is different, you know, when you're up there and people are trying to get you. You know, you could see it when Liverpool were on that run of winning every year, every game, whether it was Brighton or whoever. You want to get at them, you want to take points off them, and I think Hearts are now the team that everybody's after. You know, they're the ones that are going to lift their game every time they come up against Hearts, and that'll be a different challenge for the Hearts players that have never been there before.
Be interesting to see who he signs. I can't wait to see the 1 or 2 or 3 players that they look and say, right, this is what we need to try and make this a real tilt, to try and make sure that, obviously, as everybody knows who watches this programme and listens to the podcast, to try and make sure that Tam's in a full Hearts kit with socks, boots on, Puma World Cup Adidas ones, and then the shorts, and then the top, Ruffy. He's going to look unbelievable in maroon.
I'm getting very, very nervous now.
A great picture.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? You know, there are a few things that you have to do in your life, Ruffy, you know, to wear the strip of the team that you...
I've already done it. I did it. I had a stupid bet with my past partner, and I had to wear a Heart strip in the Gale. Was it the Gale, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Gale.
You hold on a minute. You said
it was a Hibs Hearts game.
Yeah, but you said a line there that kind of you had a bet with your
narrowed
past.
Down a bit more your last partner.
You had a bet with your past partner.
Yeah, Ewan.
Right. I thought, why would you have a bet with your first wife?
And it was the Hibs Hearts game, and I was really confident Hibs would win it, and that was the bet.
Yeah.
So I had to wear a Heart strip around the Gale Centre.
Absolutely.
From top to bottom.
Whatever happened to him, by the way, Ruffy, and you were?
I think he's got a new job, isn't he, with STV? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well done for that. That's good. You happen to be a pundit on it. It's unusual for you. You sound like Tam Cowan there, mentioning other sponsors and other stations. Anyway, give us your thoughts. Hearts looking good for the title. Can they maintain it? Ruffy's obviously saying there's a few teams out there who are going to have a right go at them now and look to be taking points of them, of the derby, Tam, at Easter Road. It's going to be absolutely bouncing. This is the first chance, actually. Most of them have got a long run of 5 or 6 days to work in the training before they get to the games. They've had a relentless period of playing games non-stop. So this is a chance for both managers, both David Gray and Derek McManus, to look and say, right, okay, let's get some injured players back. Beninga maybe was back for them, which was a huge bonus as well. I can only see Hearts going to Easter Road and winning.
Yeah, listen, it's a hard one to call. Derby games are always difficult to call. I think no matter who's playing well, who's on top at that time, they're one-off games. Hibs have had a decent record against Hearts over the last couple of seasons, but it's just on the day who turns up on the day, who takes their chances, who maybe gets a wee rub of the green or maroon for that matter. So yeah, it's going to be a massive game. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a 12:30 kickoff. It's live on TV, so I think it'll be a full house. Tickets sold out within half an hour. So. Full stand of Hearts supporters as well, which will please you. So
proper derby.
It'll be a crackling atmosphere, and listen, there'll be Rangers fans tuning in, Celtic fans tuning in, hoping that Hibs can do them a favour. Because if Hearts win this and go and win at Easter Road, alarm bells will be rung with Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see them winning it. And also, Kenny, who's out there in LA, says, Peter, will you wear the Rangers kit if they pip Celtic to second? Kenny, there's an old Glaswegian stay. I know you obviously are an Aberdeen fan, Kenny, but there's an old kind of a West of Scotland phrase that you might not be actually attuned to. It's away and take a flying to yourself. I have actually had the full Rangers kit on, Robbie, at Ibrox, because one of my old co-commentators and friends was Sandy Jardine,
right?
And he had a big sponsors day where they were obviously looking for captains to play on each side. So I turned up at Ibrox, and Walter was the manager with Ali as his assistant, Tam, and they had the full Rangers kit with my name on it underneath the picture of the Queen with a note saying, we've got this all ready, ready for you, Pedro, we heard you were coming.
I'd like to see that picture. You need to show me that picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I've kept it really quiet, but no, Sandy would be the one person that you would easily do that for. But nevertheless, Rangers pipping Celtic to second, not on the evidence of what I witnessed at Tynecastle. I don't think they've got it right now. They'd need to sign defenders, and they'd need to sign some kind of flair. Stephen says to us, Peter, do you honestly think Hearts will win the league? Well, let me tell you, let's talk about the next game to see how punters think about if Hearts are not going to win it, are Celtic going to win it? Now, I think we've got to offer a sense of balance and be fair, Ruffy. All we mentioned last week was quite simply Wilfred Nancy just win games. So they've just won a game, and I think he deserves credit for it. Win games, that's all the remit is for a Celtic manager. So for Wilfred Nancy, let's offer the balance that sometimes people forget to offer. He's won a game.
Yeah, most definitely. I think in the end of the day, they should have won it a lot more comfortable than what they did. I can hazard while he was standing there that for 74 minutes he would be thinking, this isn't happening for me. Because nothing was happening in that game as a manager. But anybody that saw the game, I mean, Celtic could have won that game 7, 8, 9 quite easily. The Aberdeen goalkeeper was superb. Some of the saves, a lot of the misses as well. I still think the charging forward at the back, both centre halves were nearly in their box at one stage, Aberdeen's box. And I mean, I know it looks good that they're pushing forward, and if they're pushing forward, the midfield's pushing forward, and the strikers are pushing forward. But one ball over the top, there's no cover, and I think the Aberdeen goal came from Liam Scales, who's a centre half. He's not a wing back. But he wants to get forward, he wants to get involved. And, there was just, when the ball went through, there was just no cover whatsoever. And against really better sides, that's what's going to be your downfall.
I'm not going to, I mean, sometimes I think people think I've got to be in my bonnet about this. I'm not going to, I've given Wilfred Nancy the credit, he's won the game. We all expected Celtic to beat Aberdeen because Aberdeen have come off the back of a game in Prague where they were rank rotten with no shots on target. Aberdeen, for me, although they were unbeaten in 7 games, I think they're either they're underachieving or they're a poor side. I think they're underachieving because he hasn't got the best out of them, Tam. But Celtic had 31 shots in goal, 5 of them hit the woodwork. Aberdeen were an embarrassment.
Yeah, listen, I think that when you look at the overall game...
And by the way, Celtic played against 10 men for 45 minutes.
Yeah, listen, it's, the sending off right before half-time changes the game, Peter. I think it's 1-0 to Celtic at that time. And
is it a sending off?
Yeah, I think it is. I think he's last man, he pulls him down. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that changes the game. You know, and until Celtic got that second goal, Aberdeen were always in it, and they had a wee spell where they got through and they got the goal. Schmeichel. I mean, Schmeichel was like, seeing you play five-a-sides and it's your turn to go in goal, and you're looking at your watch and you've been in for 3 or 4 minutes, and you're thinking the next shot that hits target, I'm letting it in so I can get out.
Yeah,
that was what Schmeichel was like. He's got to save that. What is he doing, Ruffy?
I think he thought he had saved it. I think he thought he'd
slow as he going down to get it.
But he sort of put his hand out, you know, and he got a touch to it. But no, I wouldn't say it was a bad goal to lose.
Oh,
no.
I think the biggest worry is, again, what you pointed out. The pass through to Bililovic was basically in between those defenders, going back the way, in between Trusty, and he gets in behind him and takes the shot. I think the worry for me, I mean, again, probably because of the week that that I had last week, I'm trying to rein in a wee bit of what I'm going to say here. But for God's sake, Aberdeen they were murder. Aberdeen were rank rotten. So Celtic will get tested against better teams coming up. And if they keep playing the way they're doing in the back line, they're going to lose goals. Yeah. I am still waiting to be convinced about Wilfred Nancy and what he's offering as a Celtic manager. And I don't think there's any respite just because they were able to beat a team like Aberdeen, who just...
He just had to win, Peter.
He just had to win. I didn't think he was going into this game with everybody transforming their opinion because they managed to beat Aberdeen. I expected them to beat Aberdeen, but I never expected such an inept performance from Aberdeen, and they were still able to score with 10 men.
Yeah, I thought Aberdeen just went there to try and get something out of the game, not a win, just sit in and make it hard for Celtic to score. I mean, they nearly got away with it. We've already discussed, you know, the chances that Celtic had, and obviously when the goal goes in at 1 each, you're going, oh, this could be one of the games that, you know, you are going to get some when you shouldn't really get in at the game. So I think for a football sense, you know, the 2 goals that Celtic got late on were good for football, because if I'm a supporter, I want to go and see my team playing and having 30 shots at goal, or hitting the bar, hitting the post, or whatever, you know. And I think it just clouds just a wee bit like what you're saying there. I don't think Celtic are the real deal because of this one result. I think they need, I think Tam said it, 2 strikers. See if they had a quality striker. I mean, a really quality striker.
Yeah.
They're winning against Dundee United. They're winning against Aberdeen quite easily. I know it is. So they have to do something about it. And I mean, we're sitting here seeing that. The board have got to see it. The supporters see it. You know, his style of play, unless he's got the right players, is going to lose goals at this moment in time, because they don't all help each other. You know, they're all individuals back there. You know, they're all trying to do something they're not really good at. You know, as I've already touched on, Scales want to bomb forward. Just keep your position. Just, you know, you've got a midfield and you've got strikers to do all that attacking stuff. Just defend. Defend properly.
He needs to find a physical centre-half in the window. Just a big physical centre-half who can go and head it and go and get on the end of long throws, because every team will be targeting Celtic at set pieces. They're not a big side. I think Trusty, maybe Scales, bar that, they're not a big side. And so they're going to have to go and sign, I think, a 6'3", 6'4" experienced centre-half who can go and head the ball. And if they get 2 strikers of quality in the window and a centre-half, I think Celtic will win the league. But they need to go and get those 3 players for me. They need to go and get 2 strikers and a centre-half as minimum. That can go, because you're right, if Celtic are a quality striker, if Celtic are Kyogo, say, playing in his form, that's 6 or 7-1.
Yeah.
You know, he scores 3 or 4 goals.
That's
Johnny Kenny's not good enough. The boy Shin Yamada's not good enough. But he's nobody else at the minute. So I do feel a little bit sorry for the manager, because he's that's all he's got. But he's got to go out and strengthen and sign strikers, because Celtic are creating tons of chances in the last couple of games.
I don't even think the back line's good.
They're not. They need a centre-half, Peter. I think he needs a centre-half. I'm not impressed with Trust. He's playing Ralston and he's playing maybe Tierney in that back 3. You need centre-halves in there, defensive-minded. So, yeah, that's the 2 key areas for me. A centre-half at the back and a striker, possibly 2, to go and take all these chances, because Celtic played really well. I thought Celtic played really well. And 3-1,
Celtic played well because they get back to what they're good at, attacking-wise, getting the ball wide, you know, overlapping, firing balls into the box, and midfielders coming in the end, not necessarily the strikers, and that's what they were good at when they had better wingers than what they've got now. So going forward, not a problem. Defensively,
They
yeah.
need to keep their captain fit, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep Callum McGregor fit. His desire for the third goal, where he makes a lung burst and overlap and then just cuts it back to Forrest, epitomises him as a player. He's a key player for Celtic.
Yeah, I will answer Bob, who's obviously had a go at me, because we don't mind Bob. We don't mind people having a go. As he says, Peter lost any credibility he had with those Nancy comments last week. He was ridiculed all over the media at the weekend because of what he said. Bob, it doesn't bother me. Believe me, he was on the edge of getting billeted. They stepped back from it and he was told to win games. I'm still not convinced about him. And I think, if Hearts really have a go at this, then he's going to have to show his managerial credentials. But if you're thinking the ridicule comes with a win against Aberdeen, Bob, your head's in the clouds. His back line can be got at. For Dundee United to beat them with 1 win in 11, they were poor. And he's lost 4 games. The only get out of jail card was the game against Roma. The other three managers have worked him out. 10 men in a rank rotten Aberdeen performance were able to get a goal, and they were 14 minutes away from another catastrophic result, by the way. And let me tell you, if I could narrow it down again, Ruffy, they were 3 minutes away from a catastrophic result until Tierney popped up with the second one, and then James Forrest, who I'm going to get on to in a minute. But Bob, your head's in the clouds if you think I'm taking a backward step on this one just because some people rubbished it. Believe me, he was on the edge of getting billeted. Celtic managers don't lose 4 consecutive. Had he lost or drawn against Aberdeen, I think he was under real pressure again. It would have been a real test of that board, Tam, if he had dropped another 2 points and Hearts would go another 2 points clear.
I think he'd have been gone, Peter. I said it in the show on Friday. I think he's got to keep winning games. Particularly with Hearts putting the pressure on beating Rangers. It was a 9-point gap. Celtic had to close that against Aberdeen. They've done that. They've got a couple of tricky games coming up. Livingston away, David Martindale. I know they've been really poor this season. We're going to get on to them, but
they're going to beat Livingston, Tam. They're going
should beat Livingston.
Tam, they're going to beat Livingston away. The big problem for me is Motherwell away.
Motherwell away is a tough one.
Motherwell could easily beat Celtic's back line the way they're playing at the moment, Ruffy. And then it's Rangers at home. I'm trying to think of a great catchphrase to sum up the Celtic Rangers match at Celtic Park, which is, what is it, the crap derby? 2 rotten teams. I mean, it's not exactly... You're not going to get excited about Celtic against Rangers on the 3rd of January, the way the two of them are playing.
It's more exciting now, Peter. Listen, I think the standard this season is really poor across the board. So many draws. People will say, oh, it's competitive. Nah, it's not competitive. There's teams drawing every week. It's dross at times. But it's exciting. It's exciting for people because usually at this point, Celtic are 8, 10, 15 points clear, and we're sitting bored every week. Hearts are fair play to them, are putting a challenge up. Rangers, I think, are maybe just about still in it. They're in their last life, I think. But I think it's great to have a title race. I think it's great for the media. It's great for supporters to see a team out with Celtic Rangers going and putting a real challenge in. It's brilliant. Listen, I'd rather it be Hibs, but it's Hearts, so fair play to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I've said my piece on Bob, who reckons I'm bitter against Celtic. Don't be so stupid. The point is, if you want, and I always say this, Ruffy, if you want people who just wave flags and pander to Celtic's media team, then go and watch Celtic TV or go and watch Rangers TV. If you're looking for people who don't have an opinion, we always say to you, go and watch, Club TV. It's the best place for you. Quite simply, the two of them are ranked rotten, and I'm watching them, and there's no credibility in beating Aberdeen. It's going to be better teams that are going to have a go at them. The standard's dropped. If you want to know how bad the standard is, from February of last year when they were, really taking Bayern Munich and playing the best football I've seen in many a year, and Brendan Rodgers got all the plaudits he deserved. Just look at Scottish clubs in Europe. Woeful, embarrassing. Some of the performances have been terrible. If you think the standard of football is good and acceptable right now of what you're watching, I'm afraid your level of football acceptance is way, way down. Ruffy, the standard is absolutely abysmal. The joy is, for me, The joy for me is going to Tynecastle watching Hearts or going to Fir Park and watching Motherwell. The rest of them are terrible.
Well, the difference is that the level at Rangers and Celtic just now isn't what it was. So other teams have got better. Motherwell have got better. You know, St Mirren have got better. You know, Hearts have really got better. And that's why it's competitive, because the quality of player that the big two used to have would railroad anybody going to Parkhead or going to Ibrox. And that's not the case now. As Tam said, these teams like the Motherwells and the St Mirrens are not frightened anymore. They're not frightened. Even if they come to their patch, they're confident that they can take something out of the game, which wasn't there in the past years. So that's what makes it more competitive.
Yeah. Give us your thoughts. Somebody actually said to us, do you think Hearts will win the league? I mean, we're going to give it our final call, and I think it's only right and proper, Tam, that we give it our final call when the window closes at the end of January, because you get a real sense of where they are. Right now, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, Hearts are making a real go of it and they deserve all the credit. But we are actually looking and saying to ourselves, are Celtic and Rangers going to sign players that are going to be immediate starters that hit the ground running? Because of the signings that they have made, we've all looked at Celtic and Rangers and we've said, well, he's going to take a few weeks. He's not at it. He's not up at that level.
Yeah, it's always the same in the January, Peter, because you're going to get players that are not playing. No team wants to let their best players go, so you're getting players that are out of favour. You're getting players maybe on loan who have not been playing football, and they maybe take 3, 4, 5 weeks to get up to speed. You can't afford that. You need people who come right in who have been playing, who are match fit. I think in terms of Rangers, we need 7 or 8 in. They need a clear out of that. That squad is not good enough, and that squad's not going to get anywhere near winning the league. If they go and sign 6, 7, 8 players, I don't think they will. But if they do and they really click right away, then possibly. I think Celtic need, as I said, 2 strikers and a centre half. I think the rest of their squad's fine. But I think Hearts, again, need maybe 2 or 3. So if you're asking me right now who do I think is going to win the league, it would be Celtic. But I think they'd need to sign quality players. I think they'll need to go and catch Hearts. I don't see Hearts capitulating. I think Celtic would need to go and get them.
Along the lines of we're talking about quality in the game, every year around about this time we start talking about Player of the Year. I wouldn't have a Rangers or a Celtic player even nominated. In my four. My four at this moment in time would be 2 from Motherwell, the boy Watt, and Slattery. I like Slattery.
I think Slattery's in there.
Yeah, and Hearts, the wee boy Devlin, and my standout to win it would be Godjic.
The St Mirren boy? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's your 4. I would have Devlin, I'd have Finlay, I'd have Watt, and I would have Fadinger as a 4. That I think right now on the first half...
Lawrence Shankland, top scorer in the league? Currently? He's got to be in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Who's your 4?
Shankland, Devlin, Watt, Eli Just. I think he's been excellent at Motherwell as well. So listen, there's not any Celtic Rangers players, and for the first time ever, I looked at the goal scoring charts yesterday, coming into December, and there wasn't a Celtic Rangers player in it either. You know, it was. You know, I think it was a boy from Motherwell, Tiswanisi, and there was Shankland, and I think Braga was up there, and so it's been a weird season in terms of the Old Firm players. I haven't really produced. The Old Firm teams haven't produced top scorers or the goals that they're looking for and the wins that they're looking for. So I think people will moan about the standard, but I think it's refreshing for Scottish football that we are talking about Motherwell players for Player of the Year, we are talking about Hearts players for top goal scorer Player of the Year, and I think if we're still talking about that at the end of the season, then I think that Motherwell will be in the top 3 or 4 and Hearts will win the league.
Yeah. Listen, Hearts have beaten Celtic and Rangers home and away.
Yeah.
4 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that just shows you the confidence they've got. And it's not as if they're going into games against Rangers and Celtic and they're hanging on in there and holding their own. They're on the front foot. They're scoring goals. They're putting the other 2 under pressure. And they're not responding at this precise moment.
Celtic's next match is Livingston, Motherwell and Rangers. If I was a betting man, Tam, I would say they'll get 4, possibly 5 points out of 9.
Celtic?
Yeah.
I don't think the Livingston game's as cut as dry as you think it is, Peter. I know Livingston have been poor this season, but they're going to bombard Celtic. I'd be playing Yengi and Muirhead, and I'd be firing Everton on top of the keeper. Honestly, I would. Celtic cannot defend. You seen it against Dundee United? Also, Dundee United done in the second half.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
Long throws and balls into the box, and Celtic could not cope with it. They didn't cut Celtic open, they just bombarded them physically, and that's what Livingston are going to do. I think Celtic might scrape that. Motherwell away, difficult game.
Yeah.
January, I think it's January the 3rd, the Rangers game. Maybe they get a player or two in, I don't know. But any other time I'd be looking at that and going Celtic take 9 points, but I don't think they'll win every game, no.
Yeah, and also this comment here says PLZ might as well give Shankland the Player of the Year and McManus Manager of the Year right now. Listen,
This moment in time, it would be.
This moment in time, it's a shout. For me, it would
Manager
be,
at the top of the league and the top goal scorer. You know.
well, for me, it would be Devlin, and it would also be Derek McInnes. He's done fantastically well. Listen, let's not forget, Stephen Robinson has just won the Premier Sports Cup with St Mirren against Celtic.
Yeah, and apart from that wee wobble that they had, they were very, very consistent and a joy to watch, playing really good football, scoring good goals, winning games pretty easy. So, no, they'll be in the running now. They've got that wee win at the weekend under their belt. I think they could go on a wee run.
Yeah, Joseph says, I don't doubt that the Hearts are up for it, but I don't believe they will cope and get it over the line. So, listen, it's intriguing because although... and again, I think all of us have said, although that the overall standard might be not at a level that many of us have witnessed down through the years, some great teams, it's dropped considerably, but Hearts are where they are on merit. That's what Derek McInnes said, and he deserves tremendous credit for what they are doing at the moment. They're out in front. Celtic have to win their game in hand to reduce it to 3, and then, game on. I think it's between Celtic and Hearts to win the league. Give us your thoughts. Who do you think is going to win it? Do you think Hearts are eventually going to, collapse at some point and Celtic will go on and win it? Or if there are Rangers fans out there who think they're still going to be in the mix, by all means, give us your opinion on that as well. We'd love to hear from you. But overall, I can only look back at where Brendan Rodgers was in February with that Celtic side, and some of the best football that I've seen in 10, 15 years from that Celtic side, and it's just been, and even then they were dismantled with Kyogo sold before that game, but that was the demise for me of Celtic. They've just gone totally and utterly backwards since then.
Well, they haven't got the quality of players that they're sold for. What was it, 20 million, 25 million?
Yeah.
They don't have a 20 million player now. They don't have anybody at this moment in time that they could say, oh, we'll sell him on and cash in, and that's a backward step.
Dundee United against Hibs, 1-1. Look, at Stevenson scored a good goal inside the box. Martin Boyle got an equaliser as well. It's Hibs have just flattered to deceive this season, Tam, haven't they? It's a bit iffy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit... There's nothing happening really at Hibs at the minute. Too many draws. Can't put teams away, not scoring a lot of goals, creating opportunities. Second half, they had some chances to go and win the game. Clegy went through and tried to chip the keeper. Yeah, it's obviously accentuated with Hearts doing so well as well. So, big game, I think, coming up for David Gray. I think the Hibs supporters are a wee bit grumping and groaning a wee bit at the football at the minute, the results. And if Hearts turn you over at home, then I think that David might be under a wee bit of pressure. But I just feel that, I've said it so many times, I feel Hibs are majorly underachieving with this squad of players. It's one of the best Hibs squads I've seen in a long time. It's one of the most expensive Hibs squads I've seen in a long time. They've spent money in the summer. They've got some real quality players. And, to be sitting fifth now, I think is disappointing from a Hibs point of view.
Especially from being third and everybody starting to see... some shoots of real quality. But with that in mind, Rob, you have to be honest with you. Too
many draws. You look at the table there. Rangers have had 8 draws out of 17. Motherwell 9 draws out of 18. Dundee United 9 draws out of 18. It's one of the leagues where apart from Hearts and probably Celtic, it seems to be draws every week. Tightly contested games, but there's nobody really between Motherwell downwards really capable, I think, of putting... I know Motherwell in a decent run of form at the minute, but again, they've drawn near enough half their games as well. Yeah,
I'm not impressed by Hibs on the basis that we're looking at guys like Bowie. I really want Bowie to think about what Steve Clarke is saying and go and start scoring goals regularly.
Well, I think Tam will know more about centre forwards than me. Everybody's now saying, is he a number 9? Or is he just somebody outside the 9 who wants to do all his work just behind the 9? You know, but he needs to start scoring goals. And at the weekend there, if I was a top class striker, I'd be scoring goals with these balls that Cadden's firing in there. See the quality of the ball that's coming into the face of the opposition. If you're a really top striker, you're in there. You're in there on the end of these. And unfortunately, he's not that kind of player. Yeah, he scores goals, there's no doubt about that, but I think he should be scoring more.
He doesn't, and this is funnily actually what Jim McAnally apparently said to Brian Graham. Brian Graham pointed it out at the weekend. Is he was talking about his first gaffer, which was Jim McAnally, and he said, Jim McAnally said to him, "You've got an uncanny knack of being in the right place at the right time, and that's what a good striker is. You know, somebody who just understands where the heat zone is, where I've got to be to get there. I mean, the best at it." You know, and there's been so many. I mean, you could talk about Larsons and Suttons and the top players that Rangers have had down through the years. But I always remember John Robertson saying, I'm paid as a striker, and where I earn my money is in that penalty box. And when that ball's in there, I'm in there waiting for the keeper to drop it, like Ruffy and at Derby. I'm waiting for there is where I earn my money.
Yeah, I think you get different types of strikers, Peter. You'll get a John Robertson or a Chris Boyd, for example, who won't want to take too much part in out with the box. They're not going to come and show and run the channels, and they're going to play within the width of the post. And I think Bowie's got to try and do that more. I think he does a lot of good work outside, holding the ball up, flicking things on, running the channels, crossing balls in. I seen him against Rangers. He was putting some great crosses in, but I think you should be in the box getting on the end of the crosses.
Yeah.
Strikers are judged in goals, Peter. That's every striker is judged in goals. No matter if a great game, you could have a great game and get man of the match and no score, or you'd be rotten and score a winner. So it depends what you're wanting. But I think he does need to be a wee bit more selfish in terms of getting himself in the width of the goalposts in that 6-yard box. Because as Ruffy said, Hibs do put a lot of good quality into the box, and that's where he's paid. In that 6-yard box, 12 yards out, getting on the end of things, and maybe go to start being a wee bit more selfish in terms of getting himself in there.
They'll finish top 6 though.
Oh, if Hibs don't finish in the top 6 this season, I think about another manager. I think that's a minimum. That Hibs squad and the money that's been spent have got to be finishing minimum in the top 6.
I don't think you get rid of David Gray if they're not finishing the top 6. It would be disappointing, but nevertheless, I see where you're coming from. Do you fancy Hibs to beat Hearts?
In derby games, as Tam's already touched on, scoring the first goal is a big one.
Yeah.
Particularly at home. You're up for it, and then the Hearts, as I've touched on it, the Hearts players are now in a position they haven't been in against the biggest rivals. When they're sitting top of the league, they need to come back, and then you're looking at their team and going, have they got the players? And if they do come back and beat, Hibs at Easter Road, then they've had a remarkable season. This would just top it.
Yeah. So you never answered that question.
No, I don't.
Do you know who you remind me of, by the way? Do you know who you two remind me of? You remind me of all those Rangers ex-players that never criticise the club. There's a few of them who have just basically said, don't criticise the club.
I would criticise the club if they're not playing well. But
fancy them to beat Hearts?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't fancy them, but I don't fancy them strongly for Hearts to beat them. I can think they get something out of the game if the game goes whichever way.
I think a draw is not a bad result for Hearts.
Yeah.
Obviously they want to win the game, but I think a draw, if you go there and you keep your unbeaten run going, many run of form, then I don't think either would be disappointed. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be a big game, and Hibs have not won a big game this season, which is concerning as well.
Okay. Neil makes a very good point. He says, why are you not considering Motherwell to win the league? A good striker in January is all we're missing. I mean, that would just be...
He'll get one of the best managers in the league.
Yeah? He's up there, isn't he?
I think he's a tremendous manager. I think the way he's got Motherwell playing is incredible. They've hardly spent a bean, and we spoke about at the start of the season, the first game of the season against Rangers, 0-0. You could see that we're trying to do. You thought they're going to get caught out. They did at Celtic Park, with that late goal. But I don't think anyone would
Was
fancy
it
playing
Motherwell that came back against Hearts the very first game of the season?
They were 3-0 up and Hearts come back.
Yeah.
3-0.
Yeah.
Maybe that was an indication of what was going to come for the rest of the season.
I just think they're a joy to watch. I have to say, I just think it's great to watch them, and I watched them against Dundee, and again, you know, it was a bit scrappy at times, but still, once they get into their groove, Ruffy, it's almost as if sometimes they don't panic; they just keep going.
Well, everybody who goes to see them say it's very, very noticeable that when they play a system, when they start throwing on their subs, the subs that are coming on know the system. So you're getting players like for like who are coming in and they know exactly what they're going to do. If Stephen O'Donnell's left out on the bench, when he comes on, he knows where he's going to fit in. And most of the players who come in are as good as the guys that are on the park. 6
clean sheets in the trot, Motherwell.
Yeah.
Some record, 10 unbeaten. And the best Celtic centre-half this season is playing for Motherwell.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's an interesting point, isn't it?
He's been outstanding. He was man of the match again at the weekend. 6 clean sheets in the trot. No, I think he's been absolutely outstanding this season, Welsh. So maybe he's someone, I don't know the ins and outs of the loan deal. Motherwell fans will be shouting at the screen now, but I don't know if Celtic could maybe get him back mid-season, but I think he'd fit into that Celtic team, no problem.
But even when he was in the side, they were still moaning about him.
Yeah, but sometimes you need to go away and maybe get appreciated a bit more. And he's playing in a Motherwell team. Listen, if I'm him, I would stay where I was, but in terms of Stephen Welsh, he might decide to get back to Celtic, who knows, but I think Celtic will be keeping close tabs on him because he's been outstanding for Motherwell this season.
Yeah, he's another good defender. Deserves credit, Ruffy.
Yeah, he's a big defender who defends. You know, you're not looking for anything special at him. As you say, the ball is reasonably good. You know, he'll win the headers that Tam's talking about that are coming into the box. You've seen him already putting his head in the line with Motherwell. He's had a few scraps. But it certainly looked as if he was one of the young players who was going to go in and establish himself at Celtic, but it obviously never worked.
Even though we're very complimentary against for Motherwell in their 1-0 win over Dundee, I mean, is there any positives out of what Dundee did in the game?
Well, if you listen to Stephen Presley after the game, there is always positives. He likes seeing something that he's seen in that game, but I
think there's only so long you can. Negative, Ruffy.
It's only so long you can keep saying that, you know. And everything you're saying, you're hoping the players are believing everything you're saying. Well, he thinks we're doing all right. Oh well, so maybe just hang on in there. But I think he had 2 or 3 injuries at the weekend, 2 big players.
Yeah, Simon Murray brought on late on. He doesn't score, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I said it before, Peter. It's going to be out of 3 of them now. I think they'll start to get detached. I think you'll see St Mirren start to pick up. Dundee United, St Mirren, you know, they'll start to pick up points. But I think Kilmarnock, Dundee, Livingston, it's just 2 out of 3. And as long as they're in that mini league of 3, I don't think the chairman would be too worried about it. You know, but if Dundee go 4 or 5 points adrift, Livingston go 4 or 5 points adrift, Kilmarnock's already fired their manager, then I think you would see a change. But I think Elvis has got to come out and do that. He's got to come out and say that. You know, he can't come out and harangue the team and slaughter them. He's got to try and keep the morale up. They're losing a lot of games, and I don't think anyone expected them to go and get a result at Motherwell, but
they got themselves off the bottom.
Home games against us.
They got themselves away from that bottom 2 just by picking up points, and that would breathe a bit of fresh air. But he'll be looking at the fixture list and looking at the games against Livingston, Kilmarnock, you know, and they're the games that will determine whether they can stay away from that bottom 2.
Yeah, and based on that, they lost to Motherwell. St Mirren defeated Livingston by a 0-0, but Livy are not out of it. They're not detached. They're still hanging in there.
Yeah, and they're on a dreadful run. I don't think they've won a game since maybe August or end of August or start of September. It's a real bad run, but it just shows you that, you know, Dundee, you know, picking up really on a run of form, Kilmarnock's on a run of form. So, yeah, I think Livingston, as I said to you, as long as they're still in the mix with Dundee and Kilmarnock, they'll believe they can get out of it, but they need to find someone that's going to score them a goal, Livingston. They look inept in the forward areas. They don't look as if they're going to score a goal, and you know, if you're not scoring any goals, then you're going to be struggling to win games. So, and I think St Mirren thoroughly deserved it. I think they were robbed again with another goal.
Yeah, I thought
there was nothing wrong with that.
I'm amazed that goal was chalked off, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think everybody was. You know, again, the VAR, it'd be interesting to see what they saw that we didn't see. I mean, he did have his hand out there, but it was just his finger just sort of flicked him in the side of the face with the momentum of him going forward. I don't think it was an actual one of the ones you see the hand going out and deliberately hitting somebody. So it was just as well that winner went in, because I wouldn't like to seen the St Mirren manager after the game doing his interview.
I'll tell you one thing which is really good though. It was great, the St Mirren fans enjoying them with the cup. It was just a fantastic day all round, wasn't it?
Yeah, my brother-in-law was there with his dad, and they got a picture with the trophy after the game. So I think it was a great gesture. You know, it was going round all the lounges and around all the supporters getting the pictures taken with the trophy. So there's a real feel-good factor about St Mirren at the minute. You know, they're going to get confidence from winning that cup. They're going to struggle to keep hold of the manager, sadly. I think that Stephen Robertson, you know, as Aberdeen, you know, get teams like that, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, if any of their managers go, then I think that Stephen Robertson, even Rangers, would be the first one maybe on the list. So I think his stock is at an all-time high at the minute.
Yeah, winning a cup gets you noticed, and there's no doubt about it. He deserves all the credit. St Mirren getting that win, and Motherwell as well. Just a footnote to that also, Falkirk got a win. Brian Graham gets a goal, and he was delighted.
Just as you were saying there, in the right place at the right time. If you put quality into the box, the big man will put himself a bit, you know, and the control he had, if he meant it, was fantastic to sort of kill the speedy and then lob it over the goalie. But no, you can see, I mean, that age, that's what you should be like when you score a goal, celebrating the way he celebrates. I don't get people, I mean, Tam's been there before. If you score a goal, celebrate it.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, well, I've scored it, that's it, you know. And Big Brian epitomises that. As a striker to score a goal, what it means, and to win the game.
You only have to look back at the goal that Hatate scored against.
I know, it was nothing.
Final. I mean, it didn't even actually, there wasn't even any punching.
But it's the greatest feeling in the world to score a goal. Yeah. And that's, whether that's professional level, amateur level, five-a-sides.
Yeah.
You know, it's the best feeling in the world, sticking the ball in the back of the net. So I don't understand these teams, and all, you know, they go back to their former clubs out of respect, they don't want to celebrate and all that nonsense. You know, I remember scoring for Falkirk against Dundee, my old club. And I was right up to them and giving them all sorts.
Yeah.
So, and then we ended up getting beat. So they got it back for me. But I don't agree with all that, you know, going up and have respect for former teams and all that. A lot of nonsense.
I agree with you, Tam. I like that about you, by the way. A wee bit of needle about you, you know, just, you know.
Hard hitting.
Well, not only that. not only that.
What do you do when you lose a game? You just sort of...
You quickly got the tunnel, but I agree with you, Tam.
I remember so Jim McIntyre, I kind of fell out with Jim McIntyre when I was at Dunfermline. He became the manager and I left. And then I was at Ayr United and we were playing Dunfermline, and Jim McIntyre was the manager of Dunfermline. And I scored the winner, 1-0 at East End Park for Ayr United. And he was under pressure at the time, you know, getting the sack and all that. And when I scored the goal, ran right by him. I was like,
yeah, absolutely, Tam. I like that about you. Brilliant. Yeah, you're getting paid by...
relegated.
Yeah, exactly. But who cares? Your moment was the special moment, Tam. That's what I like about it. Yeah, if you're getting paid by a club and you score a goal, you can give them what for. Simple as that. Lots of great stuff that we've been talking about on the show today. And as ever, Ruffy, I mean, we'll continue putting out lots of great content, but it's a time for a wee break. It's time for Christmas. We've got our jumpers on as well. It's time for a wee break. And also, we have been putting out a wee message, Ruffy. Have you told them something coming up in 2026, big enough for everybody to keep their eyes and their ears open on PLZ Soccer, Ruffy?
Have you told them?
I'm going to tell them. Have you told them, Tam?
No, have you told them?
It's for everybody to be told. So keep your eyes and your ears open. PLZ, the football family, and of course 2026, something not to be missed. Have you told them? We're going to tell you about it. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Simple as that. What about the quiz question, Tam? Quite simply, it was fairly straightforward. It was about Motherwell, and the quiz question was, when was the last time Motherwell finished third in the league? What's your take on it, Ravi?
I was going to say that 90s one, 98.
98 is when you're going to go for. I think Celtic won the league that year. Rangers were going for 10 in a row. Motherwell to finish third last time, Tam?
Yeah, I think I'll go for 98 as well.
98?
Yeah.
Well, the clue is in the team that's in the picture.
2020? Is that the team?
2020, yeah.
COVID season doesn't count.
Yeah.
Asterix.
With all due respect to you, not a bad group of players, Ruffy. Mark O'Hara, you see in that squad there. Stephen Robinson was the manager, and they finished third. So I think anybody who got that, they finished 21 points behind Rangers, who were second, and they finished 34 points behind Celtic. So that just gives you an indication of where we are now. Hearts out in front. Do you think Hearts are going to win the league? Did you get that question right, incidentally? If you did, well done to you. To everyone, thank you very much to each and every one of you for all your support in 2025. We're going to be coming to you bigger and better in 2026. Right across this weekend's football, we'll be covering it. We'll be keeping you up to date. If you want to download the PLZ Soccer app, you can. You've got all the breaking news at your fingertips. There'll be more questions. Thank you to Elite Joinery and, of course, Fire Safety for sponsoring our quiz. Thank you to Cameron Commercial Vehicles. If you're looking for a van, quality, new or used, then Sean's your man. And we've got lots more coming from major sponsors and big news. Have you told them? That's just a little teaser for you if you get a chance. Keep it locked to PLZ Soccer, and we'll keep you right up to date with that. But all I was going to say to each and every one of you, from Tam, from Ruffy, and from myself, have a great Christmas. It's going to be great, Ruffy.
Merry Christmas, yep.
What's the tradition for you?
Everybody at the house, 2 grandchildren this year. Looking forward to seeing their wee faces opening their presents.
That's what Christmas is all about, isn't it, Ruffy?
That's what it's all about, yeah. And obviously opening my own presents and seeing my wee face.
A few gins.
A few gins will go down particularly well. With champagne to start with, obviously.
Yeah, of course, because it's a kind of a wealthy household.
Bucks Fizz for me.
Yeah, I would. Is that what you've got prize all about? Ruffy, is there a present that you remember down through the years? Was there something that you regularly got for Christmas? Somebody asked me about it yesterday at Tynecastle in the press box. They said, what was the thing you always remember that you got for Christmas? For me, I was very easy to buy for.
It would have to be football boots or a ball.
Yeah, for yourself?
Because if you had the ball, that was you up there if there was any teams getting picked.
Yeah.
Because in my area, obviously we weren't rich or anything like that, but if you had a ball, you were first pick.
Yeah.
Was it just a ball of rags and that when you were a kid?
Yeah. I had a rag man. No, we had a rag man.
Yeah.
Every Saturday, but we were not flush.
It's fairly... in Knightswood? There's a lot of flush people in Knightswood, Ruffy.
I got a balloon from my brother once.
Yeah, did you? Giving them away. Tam, was a fairly straightforward household, our household. There was not a lot of money about, but if you got your present at Christmas, you were happy. I had a pair of football boots and a Celtic top.
I think boots probably. You just want to go down the park and show your new boots off with your pals. Sadly, that era seems to be gone now. The kids going down and playing football, you don't see that too much now. But yeah, getting your new boots on, your new strip, your new shinnies and that, and your new ball, and going down and getting a wee game of fives.
Absolutely. Listen, have a great Christmas from everybody on PLZ Soccer, all the football family, and don't forget to keep it locked to us right across our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. If you hit the PLZ Soccer's premium service, you're in the draw all the way through to April. We'll pick out you and your pal could be on your way to the Puskas Arena for the Champions League final in 2026. We'll throw in flights and accommodation as well. But have a great Christmas from Ruffy, from Tam, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.